Hello, and this is the non-spoilery episode 1 and 2. Obviously, we're going into Tuesday, but Monday I'm gonna do the spoiler review. But first, we're gonna do the unspoiled review in case you want to watch or you haven't watched the episodes. Don't worry, or you're not gonna hear anything that you're not supposed to hear. First, we're gonna go into it is the Korean version or sister show of Designated Survivor. There is a review of that particular thing on the site already, so don't worry in case you haven't seen. It's non-spoiler itself. In case you want to know it's an American show. It's on Netflix, just like this one. It's Designated Survivor 60 days and 60 days for a reason. And unlike in the United States, an acting president only is for 60 days, not going out the rest of the term. So he has 60 days to go from where he is right now. So let's go see. The main character, Park Moo Ji, is played by Ji Jin Hello. Hello. And he was recently in Hello. Han Ju-tu, who played as Han Ju-sun, recently was Man of Men, and Kan Hu-na, as Hana Na-kang, recently in Familiar Wife. Now, there's a whole bunch of other people, and their characters are going to be super important in this, and I'm going to kind of go into it in the spoiler review, but we're going to try to get it under 20 minutes because there's a lot of information. One thing I will say is that for the first 2 episodes, or for this review, they did a lot of backstory, which Designated Survivor, the American version, did not do. I think it also goes in the fact that they don't have a whole bunch of seasons to go through this. I don't know how many seasons it's really going to be. And it's go episode by episode right now. So we're just going off of, I'm assuming, 16 episodes. So they're going to try to put in 16 episodes of a lot of information, and there was a lot of information, and so the spoiler one will probably be broken up because it was just, I wrote down notes and it was just crazy amount, and it was really enjoyable, and I wanted to do this review before I watched the 3rd episode because I didn't want to have anything in my head except the 2 episodes that I watched. One thing I will say is that it was super fun to watch. It was very enjoyable. You instantly got the different feelings and emotions of the characters. The acting was amazing. Obviously, there are differences between the American version. It's in South Korea, so there's the added thing of North Korea and that tension of what did they do it, did they not do it, and obviously, if you don't know, Designated Survivor is basically, and I'm not really giving that much spoilers. It's basically what happens when the person who is the designated survivor survives after everyone has died, basically, in the cabinet and everyone else in the Senate and the House. They don't really have that. They have cabinet members, and they don't have a necessary designated survivor. He just so happened to not be there, and a lot of similar stuff happened from the show. We're not going to bring into that. We're just going to, because this is non-spoilery. And basically what happens is that, well, I will say this, is that what happens is basically what happens in the first episode of Designated Survivor. So if you've watched that before, you already have some idea. But there are obviously differences. They do a lot to give the emotions of what happened. Like, before, you got a barely understandable about something about the president and stuff like that, and kind of didn't really care about the characters. But with this one, with this first 2 episodes, you got, because they are very long, they're over an hour, you got a lot of emotions and a lot of ways how you felt about the characters, how you wanted to feel, why the characters are sad, why they're mad, why you get to see them go through all the emotions of, I have to do my duty, I have to continue on my work, but also that you get a chance to feel their emotions and their sadness. Like, we got a lot more of him and his family. I don't know if his wife is going to be as important as it is in the American show. She was extremely important, but obviously we'll see from the next episodes because he is the acting president now, and similar to what happened in the next couple episodes afterwards, he got to basically give his first kind of orders, and the decisions that were made were kind of different. He's a person who comes from the main character, Park Moo Ji, is a person of science, and he is actually the cabinet of environmentals. On the original, he was the housing cabinet member. So he did mostly architecture and understanding of building and where money should go for buildings and stuff like that and housing. So from this perspective, he's a little bit more ready to go and battle ready, in the sense that he's coming into this not as a political man, but as a science man, and that's a little bit better, different than the housing. Because housing, while there was some episodes further on which was helpful for him, most of the time he was going off how he felt. This is more of a science guy going off what the data says. And a little bit less emotional about it, and more of like, okay, I know that I don't want to do this, but I have to prove it, and I have to make sure that the data's right. So this makes it a little bit better and a little bit on point, especially since I don't think Koreans would go with it, because this is being broadcast in Korea also. So I don't think Koreans would be like, yeah, we're gonna give our country to a person who looks at drawings of buildings but don't actually build buildings. Yeah, you're gonna be okay. So I like the fact that it's an environmentalist and it's not just a regular guy who builds buildings, which is obviously very difficult, but this gives him more of a gravitas to make bigger decisions, and it gives him a better respect for the job. I love the fact that the secretary is way more, I would say, even. In American version, it's a little bit like she's a bitch. And this one, she's more of like, I just want him to be good because he doesn't see what I see. She's the political person. He's the data guy. So I like that. It's a better balance. In the American version, it's really not a balance. So for my review, I would say definitely go and check it out. I'm a fan of Designated Survivor, the American version, and I watched all the episodes on Netflix, even the new season. They obviously looked at some of the issues that Designated Survivor had and fixed them. And obviously, because this changed because of a different country, there are some things that will not carry over. And you'll see that obviously, and you'll see the beats that didn't go and the beats that maybe didn't work out in the American version that they changed. And I appreciate that, because sometimes it got too slow. It got canceled, obviously, so obviously there were some issues, but it got revived on Netflix and did a way better job. It was a shorter season, but it was a more tight season, and I see that they see that being tight and having great dialogue and back and forth is the best thing to do for a show like this. This is a political show, but it's also a drama in itself. So it really, really was really great. So if you are wanting to watch this, please go ahead and do it. I'm going to go sit down and watch the third episode, and I'm going to record the spoiler one. So if you have not watched it, don't watch it until we're ready to go. All right.